going on, Jerome? So before the draft, everyone and their mom was mock drafting a cornerback safety to the Vikings, cornerback safety. And we're one of the few people who, before the draft, said that I kind of like where the cornerback room is at. I ain't worried about Theo Jackson, all 1-for-1 replacing Cam Beasley-Bynum. And, the Vikings spending that cash to retain Byron Murphy Jr., bringing in Isaiah Rodgers. But overall, I kind of like where the Vikings cornerback room is at right now. Right, but long story longer, a lot of other people don't see it that way. So our guy Trevor Sikkema, biggest remaining needs for all 32 teams over a Pro Football Focus, and of course the Vikings cornerback. The Vikings are replacing more than 1,000 cover snaps following the departures of Stephon Gilmore and Shaq Griffin. How good was Gilly though? No. They'll now have to lean on Isaiah Rodgers, who earned a 70.5 PFF coverage grade with the Eagles last season, and Mai Blackman, who is coming off a torn ACL. Now, with Flores, of course, you can never have enough corners, and the Vikings certainly could be looking to add in free agency, whether it's bringing back Gilly, or whether it's Rasul Douglas, the walking turnover machine. He's still out there. Shaq Griffin, who already has a year in the system, and I felt like Griffin didn't get as many snaps as Gilly. I felt like Griffin did more with less, if that makes sense. Same with Junior, but, is that neck good to go? That certainly is a question mark there. Now, the Vikings do have a couple of interesting names, notably Tommy Hill, who was a UDFA tryout over the weekend. No word as of right now if he's been signed to the 90-man roster. We'll see. So the Vikings certainly do have options. And as we said, with Murphy as that lead dog, starting on the outside, kicking inside in nickel, as well as Isaiah Rodgers, who they see as an every down cornerback, Jeff Okudah, Mama, I can change him, career resurrection, working there. Tyvier Thomas can play the slot. But the two players who have the most weight on their shoulders are Mai Blackman in year 3 and Dwight Nudy McLaughlin, UDFA, who made the roster last season. Now, with Blackman, I love Mai Blackman, man. All right, so a third-round pick out of USC, back in the day, 2023 as a rookie. Whenever he was on the field, good things tended to happen. Plus, remember, as we said ad nauseum, the Vikings didn't sign Stephon Gilmore until after Blackman tore his ACL day 1. First frickin' practice of training camp. All right, so that's when they brought in Stephon Gilmore, who they had met with. Now, they could bring Gilly back as well. That certainly could be a possibility, but I think Blackman's going to surprise a lot of people. The haters and losers are going to be silent when Mai Blackman ends up playing 700 to 800 plus snaps this season. Also, second-year cornerback Dwight Nudy McLaughlin of Arkansas/LSU. I feel like people are sleeping on him. Also, Kyrie Jackson took this photo. Rest in power, man. But yeah, Nudy, one of those people who sleeps with the eyes open. It's like Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris doesn't. Nudy McLaughlin doesn't sleep. He waits. Yeah, but Nudy, I think that Nudy could be something special, man. I really do. Now, I think that of the veteran free agents just floating out there, even though, Shaq Griffin met with the Seahawks, I think that he could be an option. And I think he'll be a spot where there probably isn't going to be any movement before training camp. And they're going to give the young guys, notably Blackman, McLaughlin, etc., Zamiah Vaughn, Utah impressed over the weekend at rookie minicamp. They're going to give them OTAs, mandatory minicamp, just show what they got. Right now, of course, there's no live reps. It's going to be air on air, but seeing if they can pick up the defense, how they look in their spots, as well as when you get into training camp, when it's a 7-on-7, 11-on-11, one-on-ones, then maybe we'll have a decision. It's like, hey, if they're cutting the mustard, fantastic. We will roll with them. Also, with the Vikings' improved pass rush, it's going to make things a lot easier, man. But also, it's a spot to, in training camp, if these guys aren't quite up to snuff, then you could look at some of the free agents who I actually think are going to be floating out there. Because think about it. Most teams have their 90-man roster set. I mean, teams like the Vikings have 1 or 2 spots open, but there's some quality names out there. The names we mentioned, as well as Mike Hilton, slot machines out there, C.J. Henderson. Remember when Henderson was a top 10 pick? Yeah. But I think that other teams will approach it like we laid out for the Vikings. Let's see what these guys have at OTAs and training camp. Once stuff starts flying, if you need to make a change, you can make a change. And I don't think that these guys are going to go anywhere anytime soon. So that could be something the Vikings have in their back pocket. I mean, Samuel's the name that everyone bandies about, but the neck is very concerning. But maybe they do have Shaq Griffin and or Stephon Gilmore, maybe even Fabian Moreau in their back pocket. Just like, hey, if this isn't working out in camp, We'll call you, but we'll see. But as we said, Flores can never have enough corners. But PFF pointing this out. I'm not buying it right now, but there are a lot of question marks. So I'll give them that. But I think that there's going to be a lot of answers to the questions. Notably Nudy, notably Mai Blackman. Let's go. Anyways, your thoughts are thoughts. Pro Football Focus says that cornerback is the biggest need for the Vikings after the draft. Whatever. All in on Tommy Hill. Guess we'll see. Let us know your thoughts, our thoughts, comment section. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull production value.